I put 3 running backs because I don't think there's a true fullback in the Big 12 right now.
I saw Jared Casey listed as a fullback, so I put him.
Yeah, but he is listed as a fullback, yes. I would rather
I'm with you. I think that's almost a wasted slot for how often there's 4 receivers on the field. Like for there to only be 3 receivers and 1 fullback, I think they should have just made that a wide receiver spot. But
they don't list it fullback on the postseason All Big 12. It's AP, all purpose. So they do 3 running backs at the end, but on the preseason they do fullback. And last year it was just 2 tight ends. It was Ben Sinnott and the kid from Texas.
Well, I don't know what you want to do there. I guess we're starting at fullback. I took it literally and I put Jared Casey because I don't even know who else you would put. You could put Jalen Hutchings.
I put yeah.
If you know, you know.
I put C.J. Donaldson. He's not a fullback at all, but he's 6'2", 240, and he's a short yardage guy.
You know what? Screw it. C.J. Donaldson, probably you can't justify putting him at running back, which I'll get to, but I do think he's a really good player and could be an all Big 12 running back at the end of the season. So I'm fine with listing him as the fullback.
All right, let's save quarterback for now. Running back, we already talked about Devin Neal. We're putting him in, yes?
Yes.
Only 1,000-yard returner. And then I have the returning freshman of the year, Richard Reese, as my other running back.
We're close. I had him behind R.J. Harvey from UCF.
Okay, so that's another. He's done it at this level versus he did it somewhere else.
Yeah, so here was my deal with Richard Reese. He had the accolades at the end of last year, under 5 yards per carry, and they lost 3 sixth-year seniors off that offensive line. They don't have a super proven passing game to take the load off of him, and they brought in a transfer running back from Oklahoma State. He might share the load. I think if he has a great season, I have no hesitation putting there in the postseason. I don't know if preseason I would be forecasting that, though, based on all of those factors. R.J. Harvey, for whatever it's worth, last season at UCF, 796 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, also caught 22 balls, 215 yards, 9.8 average. It was close. I had those 2 guys like right next to each other behind Devin Neal. So I'm willing to go Richard Reese if you are, but that was my line of thinking on it.
Let's leave that one to the comment section again. We're going to Richard Reese or Harvey. Reese or Harvey. All right, wide receiver. My wide receiver 1 is Xavier Worthy at Texas.
Agreed.
Okay. Who's your wide receiver 2?
This one was actually pretty clean cut for me because I made a list of what I thought was good receivers, and 3 kind of stood out, and then I had about 5 that it was sort of splitting hairs. And so I had Xavier Worthy in my top 3. I also had Brennan Presley from Oklahoma State, who we've talked about, and then Jaron Bradley.
All right. I had Brennan Presley at kick returner.
Interesting. I didn't know he returned kicks. I struggled with the kick return.
I don't know that he does either, but I did. I had another receiver in there. I have Matthew Golden from Houston.
Okay.
Trying to get Houston on the list. Granted, that's the main reason. But also, I was really impressed with him last year. And, Kyle, he's all they have. He's going to get a lot of balls his way.
So does that mean you don't want to put Brennan Presley as the 3rd receiver? Who did you have as number 3 there?
Matthew Golden.
Oh, you're talking about you had him at receiver, not at kick returner.
I had him at receiver, and I put Brennan Presley at kick returner.
I'm worried our ballot will be mocked if we put a guy who doesn't return kicks at kick returner.
Well, how do you know who returns kicks right now? That's like,
well, again, I struggle with this one because Darius Davis from TCU and Malik Knowles from Kansas State would have been like the obvious choices,
Okay.
and they're both gone.
Phillip Brooks, is he back?
Good question. Let me. Where are my notes here? I had Jaden Nixon from Oklahoma State. He house won versus Baylor last year, and I had Monterey Baldwin.
That's a great name.
From Baylor. He's speedy.
Okay. I'm fine with putting Brennan Presley as the third wide receiver.
Does Matthew Golden return kicks?
Who else?
Let me see if he's got stats logged for kick return. I think I have a Houston offensive lineman. You know what? He does, or he did. He returned 5 kicks last year for 23.2 average.
Good enough for me.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly about Baldwin or the dude from Oklahoma State at kick returner, so I'm good with that.
All right, tight end. There's 2, I think, maybe potentially 3 that could be listed. No, you don't think so?
I think there's 1.
Is it the kid from Texas?
Yeah, Jatavian Sanders.
Okay, read me his stat line.
54 catches, 613 yards. Sennett was about 60% of that on both receptions and yards. I mean, to me, it's pretty clear cut.
He had a 14.4 yard average, which was 4th in the country and led all Big 12 receivers, tight ends. I'm cool with the Texas guy. I really am.
I mean, the average is fine, but if the other guy has 40% more receptions than you have to do that at volume for it to really matter.
Sure. How do you spell that first name?
JATAVION.
What's his last name?
Sanders.
Looking at all these names is confusing me.
I know. Just real quick, the group of 5 I had is kind of honorable mention wide receivers. I had Lawrence Arnold from Kansas, Jordan Whittington from Texas, Javon Baker from UCF. Those 3 were probably the closest. And then I had Monterey Baldwin and Matthew Golden kind of in a second tier of honorable mention.
I would love to say Baylor Cup here, but until we see Texas Tech utilize the tight ends, I can't.
Yeah, there hasn't been enough production there yet.
All right, offensive line. I've got 1 that I have to have, 2 that I would like to have. And then I'm pretty wide open on the rest.
I think I've got 2 must-haves. I feel really good about 3 more, but I'm willing to hear you out, of course.
Cooper Beebe?
Yes, he's number 1.
And then Frazier at West Virginia?
He's number 2. Those are the 2 that I would have absolutely refused to leave off of this list.
All right, I did some projecting here. I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is probably my number 3. Do you have him on your list?
I have him on my list at number 3.
Okay. Kyle knows big boys. Oh, no, I'm writing Kelvin.
Don't put me on the first team offensive line. That would not end well for anybody.
No.
We're supposed to embrace debate here, and we're like super simpatico.
We're flying through this one. Let's see. Andrew Coker at TCU.
Do not have him on my list.
And then I have Cole Spencer.
That is a homer pick at this juncture. I'm not saying he can't be there postseason.
He was all conference the last time he played.
In what conference?
The last conference he played in.
You've got to slash his production by like 30% from that conference for it to. Okay. And he's coming off a year-long injury, a back injury.
Well, he could have played last year, but they set him because he wanted him back this year.
Look, I'm excited for him. I think he might be your best offensive lineman, but you cannot justify putting him on this list.
I understand. So who are your final 2?
God help me with this pronunciation. I've got Kingsley Suamataia from BYU. He was a freshman All-American last season. No sacks allowed in 12 starts. I think he's legit. He was super highly rated coming out of high school. He started at Oregon and then transferred to BYU. But 12 starts, no sacks allowed.
Give me some spelling there.
Yeah. So you've got Kingsley, Suamatiaia. If you guess A, you have a 50% chance at getting the next letter right.
Yeah. And then we going Coker, or do you have another one that you want in there?
So I've got Patrick Paul from Houston, two-time first-team All-AAC, two-time Dave Campbell's Texas Football All-Texas. So trying to spread the love a little bit. The accolades are there. I haven't watched any film, but I thought he'd be a good fit. But if you want to make your case for TCU's guy, this was the one I was like fifth. He was fifth on my list.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Kicker?
I've got Griffin Kell from TCU.
I've got Bert Auburn from Texas, based on the name alone.
Is he still there?
Is he not?
I don't know.
I
think Griffin Kell made like every single kick last year, so that's why I put him.
All right, I'm down with Griffin Kell.
He's clutch too. That scene in Waco of them running onto the field,
yeah,
season on the line. So hard to put somebody else. As cool as Bert Auburn's name is,
it's like a fake name.
I know.
It's like in a movie you're trying to give a name at the hotel counter to not be known. It's Bert Auburn.
Yeah.
All right. Quarterback. I don't feel strongly about mine. I've got three top guys. Do you have Quinn Ewers as number one?
No.
Okay. Then I think we might have the same guy. Is it Will Howard?
No.
Oh. Then who is it?
So I think those two and the two I'm about to name are the only ones you can make a credible argument for. As badly as I want to say Garrett Green here, I won't do that. I've been waffling back and forth on this and still don't know which way to go, but I've got Jalen Daniels and Dylan Gabriel.
I'm not doing Dylan Gabriel.
Why not?
He's a bum.
He's a bum.
He's a bum.
Explain.
Eye test.
Eye test?
I don't like him. He's not my quarterback.
Hashtag not my QB.
Hashtag not my QB. I'm not putting him on there.
Eye test?
Eye test. I don't like him. What do you want me to say?
I want you to say he's averaging nearly 9 yards per attempt in his college career.
Don't care.
25-6 touchdown to INT ratio last year.
Don't care.
It's almost 5-1 TD to INT ratio for his career.
If you put Will Howard in all the games last year, he goes 3,200, 30-8. All the dude does is win.
What's Will Howard's completion percentage?
I would take Will Howard to win a game over Dylan Gabriel.
Is Will Howard breaking off 70-yard runs in Norman last year? Like Adrian Martinez did?
Yes, Will Howard could. Maybe not 70. Maybe 55.
Will Howard has thrown 422 passes in his collegiate career. He's failed to complete more than 57% of those.
He's top 10 in Kansas State history.
Let's see. L. Roberson, Michael Bishop, Colin Klein, Jake Waters.
No, completion percentage or like legitimately top 10. Not like or he can enter the top 10 this year by doing some things.
Josh Freeman.
Sure.
He was just stuck with Ron Prince. So here's the deal on Will Howard. The volume isn't there.
Who do you have winning the league?
Who do I have winning the league?
Yeah.
Probably Texas.
Well, you just put Kansas State up there.
Yeah, I explained why.
So Will Howard is the quarterback on that team.
He is. He lost his two best receivers.
Sure.
He lost the most dynamic running back. Well, hit Deuce or Bijan. He lost an extremely dynamic running back.
So I would put Quinn Ewers over Dylan Gabriel
Why?
because I don't like Dylan Gabriel. I would compromise with Jalen Daniels. I would. I think he's very good.
Did Dylan Gabriel kiss your girlfriend or something?
No, I just don't like him.
You and David Collier can't stand him.
What's his completion percentage?
60. It's north of Will Howard's, that's for sure. And his ADOT, I bet, is way higher. So, like, he's throwing the ball down the field and completing passes.
But Jalen Daniels was on your list as well?
Yeah, he was my number one with Dylan Gabriel.
We don't do number ones. This isn't the old Big 12, Kyle.
I told you I was waffling, and I
have one true quarterback.
Dylan Gabriel, 63% last year at Oklahoma.
That's only 6% better.
That's a pretty meaningful difference.
What's Tyler Shuck's completion percentage?
Again, especially with the ADOT. Let me see here. Tyler Shuck.
You could talk me into Tyler Shuck over Dylan Gabriel, too.
I think he's under 60%. Tyler Shuck is. Let me see here. Yeah, So 59.9 last year.
Undefeated.
And let's see. About 1.5 yards fewer yards per attempt than Dylan Gabriel, which is significant. That doesn't sound like a lot, but 40 passes over a game, that's 60 yards.
So I'm going Jalen Daniels. You down with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Yes, you froze. You down?
Yes, I'm down with Jalen Daniels. Yes.
That's A-Y-E?
I think it's just Jalon.
That's right. I just remembered how the Kansas fans are spelling it last year.
Yeah, they were like Jalen Daniels for Heisman and couldn't spell it right. So
I can't believe we're listing quarterback and running back number one as Kansas players, and we've got them 8th.
Well, so they had an offensive lineman who I think would have been 6th or 7th on my list, like almost first team All Big 12. What was his name? Mike Nowitzki. He was honorable mention All Big 12 in 2021, second team last year. So he's a credible offensive lineman. Get that comment off the Alan Bowman. Jeez.
Lots of quarterbacks are bus drivers. He's a system quarterback. Yeah.
Jalen Daniels is?
No, Will Howard.
Oh, well, see, I don't know about that, but like I also don't care. So the knock on the guys that he runs the system really efficiently.
I always hate the system quarterback thing.
It's like, oh, it's the system that allowed B.J. Simmons to throw for 8,000 yards. Like, okay, well, great. He still threw for 8,000. Anybody else can run this system if they want.
Yeah. I think Tyler Shuck will be up there. I had Tyler Shuck on my list. Didn't want to be too homer, though.
Jalen Daniels last year, since we were throwing out all these stats, 66% completion after 69 the year before. Nice. 8.8 yards per attempt. That is elite. 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He takes care of the ball. Quarterback rating 162. It's like Boobie Miles. And he can pass. He can run, too. 5.5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns in just 9 games.
Yeah, I'm down with Jalen Daniels.
Okay. And people thought we were a K-State homer podcast.
Our alliances are going to be tested here.
I think we did a good job being honest, and I think that shows in the diversity of teams that these names come from.
Okay.
And I think there was even more diversity on the honorable mention. So I think the only one we're missing, Iowa State.
The only one.
And TJ Tampa was right there. But a lot of good DBs in this conference.
Okay. Let's see. We've got some Kansas hate in the chat.
Let him hate.
All right. So, offensive player of the year. Is it Jalen Daniels?
Or Dylan Gabriel. No, I'm kidding.
I would go maybe Xavier Worthy here.
I think
I mean, if it's
If we're,
Xavier Worthy, it's going to be Quinn Ewers.
if we're valuing pass production, I think it's Xavier Worthy or Devin Neal. If you're asking me to project, if Jalen Daniels is healthy for 12 games, it'd probably be him, or if Quinn Ewers has the kind of season that the hype machine thinks he might, then it would be him. So
My plan was to put the quarterback as offensive player of the year because that's generally how it goes.
that's usually how it goes, yeah.
So,
Or we could show some love to the O-line. The Fathletes don't get any respect. We can make amends with Email by putting Cooper Beebe as offensive player of the year.
that would be really funny. But I think as a serious Big J Journo duo here, I think we have to stay true to the system and say a quarterback. Or Devin Neal. If he can run for 1,400 yards this year, he'd be in contention as well.
Yeah, and that's if Jalen Daniels is as good as we think he can be, that takes a lot of focus away from Devin Neal, and he can sleepwalk to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And he's a playmaker. I'm not trying to minimize what he's capable of at all. I'm cool with either one, or Xavier Worthy.
And then newcomer of the year. Do you have a list there? I've got one guy.
Who's your guy?
Mike Smith at Baylor.
So I had him on my list, and same train of thought, same type of player. I've got Deshaun McCullough at OU. He's a transfer from Indiana, was a freshman All-American linebacker last year. And so I think Ben Smith, same type of – or Mike Smith or Ben Smith?
Is it Ben Smith? I think it's Mike Smith.
It probably is. Transfer from Liberty, also a linebacker, correct?
Yeah.
Honestly, we're kind of light on OU for how good they're expected to be. That was part of why I went with Deshaun McCullough.
I went the Baylor kid because he's playing that position at Baylor that gets all the stats. Terrell Bernard's position.
Yeah. I don't have a super strong conviction on it one way or the other.
Okay. We'll go Baylor for our Baylor people.
I will say Baylor fans probably the least engaging Twitter fan base. So if that's a factor on this super serious official media poll, then we could consider that.
OU is not super into us either.
They're engaging. They're haters.
All right, that's the list. We've done it. One more look. There's the top 14. Any changes you want to do after we did the other thing?
I don't think so. I think I like it.
Can we move Kansas over anybody?
Yeah, I think, like I said, that section, Baylor, UCF, Kansas, I all had as kind of co-equal. If you want to put Kansas above UCF, I could probably be down with that.
I think we leave it.
Okay.
I think we leave it. Austin Rushing says he's late to the party. Are y'all real media poll voters? That's not a joke. This is the list that's going to get submitted. Yes, this will be submitted tonight.
This is real.
This is real. All right. Final thoughts?
Yeah, we appreciate Barnett, Howard, and Williams' support of the Gambling Gauchos, bhwlawfirm.com. I wonder if any players or coaches could sue us for not listing the right guys here. If they do, that's who we're calling. They don't actually handle cases like that, probably, but they do handle catastrophic injury, workplace injury, criminal defense, certified for Title IX student litigation, one of the only law firms in Texas that is certified for those types of cases. Based in Fort Worth, but they handle cases all across the state of Texas. Barnett, Howard, and Williams. bhwlawfirm.com to learn more. They hope you never need them, but a very solid law firm in your